Welcome to Teaching Tips Tuesday. My name is Jared Kittleson, Chief Operating Officer here at Foundation for Blind Children. And today I'm joined by Melanie Audette. Welcome, Melanie.
Thank you.
Melanie is a teacher of the visually impaired as well as a certified orientation and mobility specialist for our itinerant team. She's been with FBC for going on 4 or 5 years, Melanie?
Just hit 4 years, actually, probably today.
Excellent.
So,
Excellent.
going on 5.
Melanie, so I understand you do a real cool thing with some of your students in the itinerant program where you facilitate an in-service for their classroom. Tell me more about what that's all about.
Sure. So in-service presentations are something that I started a few years ago when I realized when my students maybe were having some difficulty using devices in the classroom, or maybe there was a misconception from a teacher on how much vision the student actually had, or even when the student had, their peers asking them all the time, what is this CCTV thing, or they're trying to touch it if they want to learn more. And the student just doesn't have maybe the resources to educate them. So really it just started with realizing the need to kind of educate the peers and teachers surrounding my students. And I saw that it just really helped build up confidence, and was just a really enjoyable thing my students always looked forward to and always had their friends talking about for the rest of the year.
Very cool. So what are some different activities that a TVI could do to facilitate this?
Yeah, so it's kind of evolved throughout the last few years, but some of my favorite activities that I found to be successful in these in-service presentations are bringing simulator goggles that simulate different types of vision loss to bring into a classroom or to bring to an IEP meeting, to just have people wear them for a couple of minutes to just really see, oh, this person has a cane, but it doesn't mean that they can't see anything or that it's just black, and learning what functional vision is. And it's really fun to bring those in, ask students to describe what their vision is like with the goggles, or maybe bringing in a small print reading passage and having the students try to read it, then trying it on maybe the student's CCTV to see why the student has a CCTV. Also, another fun activity is just bringing in some sim braille, using the braille alphabet, which you can just use in Microsoft Word, using APH braille font, and just giving students different words that they have to decode, grade level words, and or bringing in some canes, letting the students hold the cane, maybe put on simulator goggles, have them walk around the hallway with a peer. We've had some really fun also discussion activities. If we have some O&M, if we do an O&M activity, maybe lay out some pieces of paper on the ground, say that it's lava, have a student put on a blindfold, and have them try to navigate around the paper while other peers are giving them directions. And we talk about how it can be confusing when someone says over there, or over here, when everyone's talking at one time. So we've just had really great, it's fun to bring in activities and have discussions with the students, and they're always super engaged and interested.
Wow. So you're teaching the kids and bringing awareness all while making it fun and incredibly powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you go about in involving the student? How do you kind of get buy-in from everyone involved?
Yeah, so normally I will kind of assess if it seems like it's the right time to do an in-service presentation for a student, maybe at the beginning of a year, for a student who's a Braille reader and their class has no idea what this big typewriter thing is in their classroom. It's just good to just introduce all of these different devices. So I'll start usually with assessing where the student is at with their comfortability level. If it seems like they're pretty uncomfortable, that lets me know that they're ready for an in-service. And I'll normally ask the case manager, and I'll call the parent also to just make sure it's okay with them to disclose the information about the student's vision impairment and the differences they have with their vision. And I'll normally start building on some lessons, talking to the student about their vision, what the name of their vision impairment is. I'll ask the student to maybe journal about their vision and how they would describe it to somebody. And we'll also talk about how to simulate their vision. Maybe it's, squinting your eye, one hand over the left eye, or, simulating visual field loss with, making a circle with your hand. And just giving them some little tools for how they can be their own self advocate. And maybe even just having them pass out the materials during the presentation, giving them a platform to talk for 1 minute to their peers about what their vision is like. Maybe towards the end, once everyone's kind of had the icebreaker of seeing different vision differences.
Right. And Melanie, is this for all age groups? Is this for older kids, younger kids? What has been your experience?
I've done it with all age groups from like kindergarten all the way through high school, and just coming up with grade level activities to that, are different. There's different ages and different things that really, motivate other students, but I've seen success from that whole age group.
Excellent. So you must have seen some pretty powerful stories of impact. Would you be willing to share one or two?
Sure. There was a time when I had a student in 6th grade. He had a degenerative retinal condition, and there were some days where he wouldn't bring his glasses to school. And on those days, he obviously was not able to almost see, anything up on the whiteboard. And his teacher would just, get very frustrated with him because the student would then, maybe act out some behaviors because he was distracted and he wasn't paying attention. He didn't have his glasses. And the teacher was, giving him a really hard time saying, no, you can see that, or when he did bring his glasses back, the teacher assumed, well, you have your glasses today. There should be no issue why you can't see the board. And the student obviously still had, a vision difference there, even with his glasses on. He was seeing still at around 2200. And there was some conflict there. The student just really felt like the teacher didn't understand them, and brought in some simulator goggles that simulated 2200 at an IEP meeting, and just gently talked about, what's going on with the student when glasses are off and when the glasses are on. He still sees this, and the teacher just broke out in tears that he had assumed one thing about his student. And so that was a really impactful opportunity, to do an in-service for the IEP team.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Melanie, thank you for sharing. I will be sure to include, Melanie has been gracious enough to include some different resources and pictures of different in-services she's put on. And I'll also be sure to include Melanie's contact information if you'd like to reach out to her with different ideas, or would like to take a deeper dive into doing an in-service presentation for one of your students. Melanie, thanks for joining us on a Teaching Tips Tuesday.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll see you all next week.
Bye.